Alright. It is 74 degrees. It's about 4:30 at night. And I'm running another load. Just trying to get as many as I can. Every day. Running another load to the storage. And I did talk to the sheriffs today again. And that was kind of interesting. You know, they can't give legal advice, but this guy actually is a landlord himself, but he said he was really lucky because his tenants paid rent and didn't stop during the pandemic. But he said that he found it very odd that my landlord gives me a 15 days supposedly, which I never got, and then turns around and I ask her, you know, like 10 times, you ready for the rent? By text message, because she does everything by text, which is great evidence. And she won't respond. And then one day she tells me, well, she said, I want to sell it. I want to list it for sale. I want to sell it. I said, well, then sell it. Well, I can't list it till you're moved out. And so, okay. So sometimes people buy stuff because there's current renters, and then they just, you know, either decide they want to keep the renter or let them know that the property's been sold, and, you know, they might want to make a change. Or the rent will be higher because they're taking it over, or who knows. But anyway, so then she starts texting and calling me like over 20 times in one day, which was just really nerve-wracking. And I'm just throwing fits like, you're the only renter I have that won't talk to me on the phone. And it's like, you know, if you're going to call and text me like 20 times, it's not going to be a good conversation. Because I don't do excited folks. So the best thing you can do is speak the facts, ma'am. Put it in writing. Then she wants me to meet with her, and I was like, no, can't do it today. I'm kind of busy. And so then she says, you know, I need to meet with you because I need you to sign a document. And it's like, well, first of all, you need to furnish me with the document. And then I will take it to a lawyer, and then, you know, we'll go from there. So you can mail it to my mailing address in Destin, or you can tape it to the door. And so she opted to tape it to the door, and then text me like 7 times, it's there, it's there, it's there, you know. And it's like, well, I'm not, but I'll see it when I get there. So I, you know, got back later because I wasn't in town, and so I get it, you know, in the evening, after hours, lawyers and all that stuff, you know. And she now wants me to pay $1,000 rent, and then accept termination of my lease in 30 days, and that landlord won't accept any more rents. This is the only way she would take the rent. So I wasn't sure what I was looking at, because the lawyer had told me that she'd have to serve me all over again because I didn't get the first notice that she tried to text me to evict me. And so, you know, I was waiting for that to start over again, so then I'd have a good chance to run and get, you know, maybe a week or two of my deposit back by living it out, which I had asked her to do way a long time ago, and she refused. She refused a week, a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you know, refund some of it back so I can rent something right now, you know, and get out of here. But no. So, and the longer this goes on, the more money it costs me. So anyway, I'll show it to a friend of mine that's a landlord, and he said, well, it gives you more than a few days because, you know, it's 30 days. And I went, yeah, well. So I paid her, signed it, Xeroxed it. So the sheriff today was telling me, well, that doesn't make any sense. If she, you know, attempts to give you a 15-day, but you never get served, and then, she takes your rent, in exchange for, takes your rent with a signed document stating you're going to terminate your lease in 30 days, and she won't take any more rents. He said, that doesn't make any sense. He says, normally it's just a 5-day and then a 2-day. And the 5-day, by the court, you do your 15 or 30-day first, and then you go to the court and file a 5-day. And you get the 5-day, and if you don't respond to the 5-day to the court, then the sheriff comes back with a 24-hour notice that you better pack it up or they'll do it for you. So I said, okay, because she then gives me a notice on the holiday, on Veterans Day, that says 3-day notice, but it says to be out on the 16th, on or before the 16th. And it's like, and you know, I'm still moving. I did send her a couple messages that, no, I have not vacated yet, because, you know, I didn't want her to get excited. I just want to be honest with her. And so, which I could have not said anything, just let her dangle, you know. But anyway, it's pretty obvious I'm not moved yet. So anyway, you know, I told him, I said, well, that one, you know, she dated it for the expiration of the 16th. And he said, well, I'm just lost at the part where she collected rent. It just doesn't make any sense. And I said, yeah, that's what I thought too. And he said, but now I'm not a lawyer or anything, so, you know, your best idea is to consult. I said, well, I'm just trying to see my safety, because she's texted me today, and you know, I told her, sorry, you know, I'm not quite moved out yet, and all that good stuff. And then a couple hours later, she sends some text message that goes, just do what the document says and leave the keys on the counter when you leave, on the counter in the kitchen. And it's like, huh? So I look out the front door, there's no document there. I haven't been to the post office. And so I'm really kind of creeped out now. So, he said, well, he said, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. He says, but you have to be legally served, whether it's by a process server or the sheriff's, whatever. And the part that we do usually is the 5-day and then the 2-day. If you don't respond to the court with a letter stating, you know, what the deal is. And I'm like, okay, because this is creeping me out big time. So, I talked to a friend of mine that used to be a landlord here in Florida, and he said, well, things must have changed, because it used to be, you know, like a 20-day notice or something. And, but he said, I don't know, it sounds kind of weird. And so I went ahead and I called again to the legal service, and told them what was going on. They had record at the time before I talked to them. And they're like, this doesn't make any sense. I said, I know. I said, when I talked to the lawyer, she told me that she had to do the whole thing all over again, the 15-day, and make sure that I received it, because she can't file with the court unless she has proof of service. But in the meantime, I've been living out my security deposit, which by my contract is the 15th to the 15th, my rent. But my contract lease has no expiration. So basically by my contract, then my security deposit's already run out. Two, the document that she wrote for the 30-day and took my rent, stating that I was terminating my lease, and she wasn't going to take any more rents, was dated the 17th to the 17th. And then she turned around and did the 3-day, which was to be out on the 16th, on or before the 16th. So I don't get it. Doesn't make much sense. But anyway, and how I don't think you can even legally serve somebody at night after hours a 3-day on a holiday on Veterans Day. I don't know. I don't get it. So anyway, I paid in a call to legal services and reported to them what's going on, and they were really confused. And so they're gonna get back to me. I'll probably hear from somebody in the morning, because this is truly creeping me out. Now, a friend of mine says, oh, she doesn't want to put out the money to evict you. So that's why, and you probably never see her deposit back. That's why she's been dancing like she's been dancing. And then people are like, oh, you shouldn't have signed that document. I'm like, well, give me a whole 30 days, at least. Because she's out to just put me out. Because what'll happen is she goes up there and tries to file, and then, you know, when it goes to court, it's like, well, I never received the 15-day notice. And right off the top, they're going to throw it because it's improper service. I've been through that a few times, years and years ago in California. They could never get it served right, and it took like 6 times to do proper service. And then when I was in Bama, my ex-husband was trying to evict my daughter and I illegally, claiming I owed $2,000 in rent in a house that I own. And laid it completely improper service, and took it to court. And then it told us that we had to get out because he wanted the property. And it's like, yeah, obviously, so he needs to pay me for my property. Because it's mine, I paid for it. I said, I really don't even like the house anyway, I'd rather have the cash. So, pay me. And they're like, well, that's another case. And I said, well, I put it in with this one. So, that's how crooked Bama is. But anyway, so that's where we're at. But I'm still moving my booty off here. It's upstairs, it's taking the longest. It's so hard to get that upstairs cleared out. And my daughter left all her stuff. I've already got 60 boxes in storage of her stuff that I've had to pack, move, clean. Most of it had to be washed before it even got packed. And for me, when I do laundry, you know, once a week, twice a week, and you know, she doesn't have any dirty clothes to put in, it's like, where's your dirty clothes? So, yeah, I had to wash it all, and then pack it, and then move it. So, I've got 98% of her stuff in storage now. The upstairs almost clear. It's like taking forever. And I haven't even cleaned it yet. I clean up some stuff as I go. But, you know, I want to do a thorough clean before I leave. And that'll be when everything gets removed out of that top level. Oh, no. Don't tell me there's going to be a bazillion people over here. This ought to be interesting. I got you all there. I got cars here. Alright, you guys, I gotta figure this mess out. I don't know if they're moving in or they're moving out or what they're doing. So, it ought to be interesting.